Hello, everybody. Something has been on my mind all day. I'm going to pour my heart out with this one. Okay. I'm speaking as a hardcore gamer, have been since I was in diapers. This whole thing going on with Microsoft got me thinking, right? Th- This is a it's a very strange era of gaming. And you either hate it or you love it or you're in like me, I've grown desensitized. Physical media is becoming a thing of the past, and it's not just video games. It's music, movies. Heck, man, you don't hear anybody listening to CDs anymore or cassette tapes. Video games are no exception at this point. You can just download your games or stream them, which I don't particularly like doing, but it's an option, right? I know a lot of people hate this. People hate subscription services, rightfully so. I don't blame you for that. How I feel about it is just times change. Times change, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Look, we got cars running on electricity now. We don't even need gas. We're starting to get into that point where we don't even need gasoline anymore, right? Like, eventually, these electric cars are going to get cheaper because they're going to be putting them out like that. Like, I see people getting mad about Microsoft buying this and buying that. Look, PlayStation fanboys, y'all told Xbox for the longest time to compete, 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 and now that they're doing it, you have an issue with it, right? What's bugging me about video games, right, is like Starfield just dropped, right? And as I've already said, the game is great, but for some odd reason, people have been attacking it, right? And for reasons that I don't have a grasp on. Oh, the game doesn't look that great graphically. This and that was a lie when nothing was really lied to us about. Okay, they said there was exploration, and there is exactly that. The planets are barren and have nothing on them. Well, yeah, they're not going to have anything on them unless people have colonized them already. Like, nobody's been to Mars. Mars probably has nothing on it, right? In real life, these planets wouldn't have anything on them because we haven't been there. But the point with this that I'm trying to make is I look back on all the years I've played video games, and these things that people complain about were never an issue. They were never a problem. Like you could sit an Atari 2600 in front of me, and I'll play that thing for at least an hour or two. You put a PS1 in front of me, I'm playing that thing all freaking day. But we're sitting over here lying about a game because it's on another console that we don't prefer. Or because we're butthurt that it didn't go onto our console. You want to know why video games are in the state that it's in? It's because of freaking casuals that ask for too freaking much. I'm a simple man. If the game is good, if the game is fun, I'm gonna play it. Whether it's Starfield, whether it's Spider Man, Ratchet and Clank, if it's fun, I like it, I'm gonna play it. Okay? But we complain and bitch and moan about small things. I'm trying to gather my thoughts right. Because I had this well thought out in my head. I'm gonna put it to you like this. I I'm a 90s baby. I was born in 94, and I had the privilege of witnessing those last 2 years of PlayStation in the 90s, man. And I look back on that and I am so freaking grateful I got to experience it. It's weird cuz we get great games today, right? And we're so ungrateful about it. A game as great as Starfield gets bashed and hated for the dumbest reasons. I look back on 1998, 1999, PlayStation 1. None of those games looked anywhere near as good as Starfield graphically. I'm sure those games had their glitches. And you know what? If you had released some of those games today, yesterday, tomorrow, as indie titles, say if they were all indie titles, released yesterday, today, or tomorrow, I guarantee you they would get love. You could have released Siphon Filters 1, 2, and 3 over the past 3 years, and I would have loved all three. Have not having played them a day ever before. Soul Reaver, same thing. Twisted Metal, same thing. Some games are timeless, you know. Like I miss when video games used to be simple. We ask for way too much. We expect way too much. And then when we get what we get all antsy and bitchy and moany about it. Got a full blown war because this side likes PlayStation and this side likes Xbox. Xbox. You casuals are literally the worst thing to happen to gaming. Hardcore gamers, we don't I don't ask for much, bro. Gamester said this in a recent video of his, and I completely agreed. I completely agree with him. This is why when Jim Ryan had the audacity to say he didn't care about PlayStation's legacy. He said this on camera. As a PlayStation fan at heart, who grew up playing PlayStation, that offended me. I took offense to that. I don't own a PS5, but I am one of those OG gamers that can tell you from experience that PlayStation has probably the richest legacy, one of the richest legacies in video game history. And PlayStation is in the state that it's in because you dick ride them. And because you dick ride Sony, they don't change their terrible ways. They don't change their ways. And because of this, Microsoft has retaliated in in a way a lot of us aren't a big fan of, but it is what it is now. See, this is what happens when you shill for these companies. Do I particularly like the fact that Game Pass exists? I'm indifferent about it. I prefer to. I miss when I had a disc and it might have been a little dirty, and I'd blow on the disc and wipe it off with my T-shirt on, pop it in the console and hope it worked after cleaning it off. Taking a cartridge and blowing into it because it wasn't working on my Nintendo system or whatever on my Game Boy. I miss that. I miss that stuff. And this goes back to what I said. Like some these fanboys, man, y'all aren't. You're so hardcore on PlayStation. You don't even know PlayStation. Some Xbots don't even know Xbots, or some Xbots don't even know Xbox. That's what I meant to say. I grew up with both. Oh man, there's so much damage done to this hobby. This hobby is so it's damaged because of you casuals. You fanboys are all casuals, bro. You're casuals. There's times where certain things need to be gatekept, and I think video games was one of those things. The evidence is there. We should have. Certain people just shouldn't play video games, man. They shouldn't. You're ungrateful and you ask for too much. Look at what happened with Cyberpunk. You were bashing CD Projekt Red to release the game, and then they did, and then you didn't like what you got. Whose fault is that? Yours. That's what happens when you're a complete a-hole. These devs work their asses off. They worked their asses off. And even in the crappy state Cyberpunk was in, I saw the potential and I loved it. I still love that game. I have a very open mind. Okay, so a lot of the time, I'll play anything and give it at least a 9 out of 10 if I like it enough. It may not be a 9 out of 10 to you, but whatever. And now look at Cyberpunk. It's a freaking amazing game. It's come a long way. And now we got Phantom Liberty dropping in a couple of days. I have a friend, right? I think I might have mentioned him before. He was a pretty hardcore PlayStation guy himself. I mean, he still kind of is. But he was a fanboy. But the weird thing about it was that he didn't realize that he was a fanboy. And it's weird. It's something I started to realize. Some fanboys don't even realize they're fanboys. It's almost like a sickness. It's very strange to me. Now, I grew up with Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, so maybe it's just because I was privileged enough to have all three. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. But this man, my man's had never touched a PS1 in his life. Like I predominantly play on an Xbox, right? But he loved PlayStation so much, but he didn't know PlayStation's legacy the way I know it. He doesn't know PlayStation's legacy like I know it, right? He doesn't. He never touched an Ape Escape. He never touched a Soul Reaver. Never played a Siphon Filter. Never played a Wipeout. Still hasn't played Wipeout. He's got a PS5. He hasn't played Wipeout. PS4 also. He hasn't touched those. 40 Winks. He's never played 40 Winks. I'm about to just name PS1 games a lot of y'all. I know y'all don't know. 40 Winks. Friggin' Jersey Devil. I know y'all don't know that. I know you don't know what that is. Shadow Man. Psh. Lego Rock Miners. Bro. I don't like the state gaming's in. I really don't. I blame us. We ask for too much. This is why I keep my expectations very freaking low. I did exactly that with Starfield. I keep my expectations low all the time. That way, most of the time I'm not disappointed. A lot of the games of yesterday, 10, 20 years ago, still hold up now. A lot of the games of today will never ever hold up to the games of the 90s and even 80s. You console fanboys ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Because you're a freaking joke. You're a joke. You're a laughing stock. Every single one of you. You don't know video games. You don't. You're shallow, close minded, 40-year-olds who argue on Twitter about which plastic box is better. And now look what it's done. Look at how cutthroat this industry is now. You know, I went to college because I wanted to be a game developer. Around 2014, I realized, with the state of the gaming industry, it wasn't worth it. And I'm glad I didn't do it. We we're a mess. We are an absolute mess, man. An absolute freaking mess. I'm gonna close the video with this, man. Gaming has been a very important part of my life, my interests, my taste in music, my art skills, my sense of imagination, and in some cases, even philosophy, is all because most of it is because of video games. That's where I get my music taste. That's why I got into skateboarding. That's where I got all my artistic skills, my ability for character development. I've made my fair share of OCs here and there. I'll be at work and I'll put on classic video game OSTs from the freaking from old school games like Ape Escape and freaking Tekken 3. Just be jamming. And when I hear that music, man, I'm just reminiscing on my childhood, bro. That whole time I'm working, it's just I'm listening to my childhood. And then you got these fake ass PlayStation fans coming into my comment section calling me a Xbot. You man, if you don't miss me with that BS, man, you call yourself a PlayStation fan. You don't even know PlayStation. Don't come at me with that. I think that's really all I needed to say. This is a weird time. And you know what? From here on out, whatever happens, happens. All we can do now is game our own way. Whether it's on Game Pass, whether it's classic gaming, whatever the hell it may be, it is what it is. But you fanboys, kiss my ass.